Power FM. I used to work here. This is so cool, and I like her. She's so dope. Emirates, as you can imagine. Ooh, sorry. Yes, I'm here. Technology. So, yeah, upbringing, Emirates. As you can imagine, Emirates is, one of the oldest townships now in Alex, and melting pot, all cultures, I even, ashkona kubula Changan, Kantanan, yabo, mfunde Emirates. It was a beautiful time, obviously socio-politically not so great, but family-wise, I had my granny, whom to this day I believe was my soulmate. And I was raised by her. My mom was a young lady. She was also present. It was a bittersweet time for me growing up. And I think that's why today I'm very aware of that inner child, because the memories that you allow a kid to capture in their childhood, they kind of set the tone for the person they'll be, as an adult. So Mina, I had both a loving family, a very protective family, uncles all around, but I also was in an environment where I could get violated, So yeah, it was bittersweet, and riots, yeah, obvious, everywhere. But beautiful time, a beautiful time in Middlelands.
You write about the street that you grew up on, as you say,
Epiripir.
a melting pot, and that's also, I suppose, served you in your career, in your adult life as well, where you're able to relate with all sorts of people, and that exposure, that training started right in your early days.
Yes, definitely. Oh, definitely. Because, like I say, more kurele Emirates, there's no ways that you don't speak Shangaan, a little bit of Venda here and there. I mean, I remember on weekends, one of my favorite things was to walk up to almost close to where now it's called Ndofaya Mall. And you'd find the Tsonga people dressed in their Tsonga garb. And there's a guy with a guitar, and it's traditional dancing of all sorts, on a Sunday. Mount Pega, there's my grandfather wearing his purple outfit. We're to watch swallows, Emirates is that place where you definitely would have a neighbor, a different tribe from you. So that definitely shaped me. And that's not just Emirates too. I feel like the entire Soweto, is that kind of a place, because there's everybody there. So that's why you can relate with everyone, and you'll go uhlale nokokwane next door, nijebuswa, spinach, and you're good with that, and then you come home and you eat whatever, whatever it is, so yeah.
You remember it with fondness, you remember your grandmother with fondness, but it's also where you were first sexually violated.
Yeah, it is. And it's one of those, even as I talk to you right now, it's one of those I've had, when you say to people in especially in workshops, when you say, if you cannot find, you're at a place in your therapy where you now want to confront your perpetrator. If you cannot find that perpetrator, then take a chair, put a picture, if you have a picture, write his name, whatever it is, put it there, have a moment, and get your go and say all the things you want to say to that person, do all the things you want to do. If it's a punching bag, you'll do that. And so for me, it's one of those that I've had to, in order to move forward, just let go of that, because namanje angwazi ama details wakhona. I don't know lo muntu ukuthi if usaphila or not. And it's also as a result of not saying anything to anybody, the fear of even opening your mouth ukuthi something like this is happening, even though I did feel ukuthi one person kind of knew and another woman is no longer even in my family, but it's one of those where, okay, in order to heal, close that chapter, do the things that you need to do, sever that cord with that experience and all the other experiences, because if all these things are top of mind every day, uzohlanya mos.
Were there conversations that you can recall about sexual violence, about the threats and the dangers that exist, right, within the community with older male figures? And that was the previous conversation before we started this conversation. We had a caller just before the end.
Yeah.
We spoke about an 11-year-old who has been sexually violated, and was speaking about the response of the cops, but also the conversation within the community itself. The culture of silence still exists with us. It has for the longest time. But I'm wondering what your experience of it was.
Sebenzi, I can never, since you started asking this question, Malogu explain, I'm trying to recall, I don't remember anybody ever sitting down and saying, talking about sexual violence, except saying it's a high school, Epanato Park, and I think also around that time is because we had a social worker, and because when I was violated, I was there, ubabam. So it was a thing, Yoguti, when you're doing those subjects in class and you're talking, about the anatomy and so on, then you'll talk about those things. But I mean, Ekaya, I'm trying to think, Umamamge, Masing, in fact, just about releasing Abudio. That's when, she can see I want to sing and I'm really wanting to do this. She doesn't want me to do it. And then she starts sharing her experiences about her little part in the industry when she was in the industry, and how she doesn't want me to to fall prey to any of those things. But ukuthi ngizothi sahlala ekhaya kwathiwa kadani, I mean, you knew as a kid, you'd hear mhlambe abantu abadala bayakhuluma, so you knew ukuthi there's this taboo thing that can happen, but nobody's really preparing you ukuthi yenzani. I remember the first time I even understood what personal space was, I was at Banato Park High, and my headmistress, Mrs. McCrease, for whatever reason, was explaining to us personal space. And literally what she did is put her arm out in front of her and then say, between the back of your arm and your shoulder, that's your personal space. I need to meet. She says, that's your personal space. You don't allow anybody into that space. If you don't want somebody in that space, you tell them so. And you do that, with authority. Outside of your palm, they're there. They must stay there. And then, the way Beganga and explaining to us as girls what our responsibility is and so on, it dawned on me, actually, they want to hug you, and when they hug you, they want to press on you. And that's a pet peeve of mine, because it's not a genuine, hey, it's good to see you. It's feeling you. You can tell someone is feeling you, And that's where I picked that up about that thing of personal space. And, sharing is caring. So wherever I would do school tours, especially to little girls, I would tell them about that. I'd get them to stretch their arm out and tell them, between your shoulder and where your arm ends, So and I think that's important to start having those conversations with both little boys and little girls, at an early age.
Because the silence feels deliberate, right? It's not deliberately
Yeah.
not speaking about it. And then I think you see some of it still come true. That's why
Yeah.
this work is so important, because it's a reminder that actually we can have these conversations. In fact, we must.
But it's also when I the deliberateness of this silence is because 9 times out of 10 we know the perpetrator.
Yes.
You don't have to look far. So abantu abadala back then, and we saw a lot of this also Kukhumbule Ekhaya, where people are prepared to die before they tell their child who their father is, you know. So abantu abadala had a thing of keeping these secrets, you know, and bona thinking they're protecting you, you know, with the way bayibona ngakhona ngaleso sikhathi. Whereas they're actually they're leaving you out bare, you know, literally throwing you out to the wolves. I'll never forget doing a session and having one girl. She was there with her mom, and she relayed her story. I think her mom heard her story for the first time. Wasukumela mama wakhala kakhulu and took the microphone. And she was wailing because her biggest fear, her biggest nightmare had come true. The same person who had violated her and her sisters in the house had now touched or violated her daughter. Because her and the sisters kept the secret for so long. Nabo bathole ngama mistake ukuthi na ukwenza so, na ukwenza so. One person, ifamily yonke. So sometimes keeping secrets doesn't help nobody. You know, if we say, and Sebenzile, this is the thing about sexual violation that is such a even mind boggler, and it's not. It's because it calls you to question your own values. So if you discover that your child raped somebody today, are you going to get up, take your child by the hand, umuse police station, ayobosh?
Yeah.
And people don't want to go there. So they'd rather pass it off. Then masimacha, it must just be women. No, this is everybody's conversation. There are little boys who are men who were raped as little boys. Why aren't we talking about them? Why aren't we talking about the rage that comes from men? Where does that come from? We haven't even begun to have proper conversations ngale GBV. As long as sifaka ama bandage every year, sifaka ama bandage. We have 16 days, so faka elinye bandage.
You also write about a school in boarding school where you then had a girl who was a little older than you, who was a lesbian, who also violated you essentially, right? Having forced herself, and again seeing that play out. No consent. It highlights the levels of the extent of gender-based violence in this country.
Yeah. And I mean, also understand you're a kid. You don't even understand what is being said to you. You don't know ukuthi kanti intombazane yakwazi terrorize njengomfana kanjani. You know, you're still there in your mind, and yet this is all playing out. And we first year, my first year, you know, we first year. So there's not much you can say or do. Say boarding school, you must follow my rules, you must talk. So that's why every time that girl will come to my dorm, afuna ukuthi ngiphume ngihlale etafuleni ngikhulume naye. Bengiqhaqhazela ngibaleke ngitshela abangani bami, but uzobaleka uye kuphi, because the school is just here and your dorm is just here, and we know school's out. Everybody's in their dorms. There's you know, after school, whatever curriculum or whatever it is that you do. So whether you're practicer, I used to do drama, you know, but you'll find, okay, you're not only dealing with boys who are trying to have their way with you. There's this girl that at first, because you didn't know, thought, God, is trying to have your way with you. And it's just a whole. So for me, it was just, now, hindsight is 2020. It was just energy. And this is why I say to rape survivors, when it happens to you the first time, don't keep quiet. don't keep the energy and think about it. What you think about, you bring about. In fact, the more you keep it as a secret, the more power you give this thing. Deflower the thing, man. Take the power out of it. Take the juice out of it. Tell whoever needs to be told. Let somebody else deal with it, and then you deal with yourself. Uphole. Mangabe fanele uvule case, police avule case, but ukukhuluma khona khuluma. Because even right now we have a sexual offences register evalelwe efihliwe somewhere. I remember all those years ago fighting for the sexual offences register ukuthi be khona South Africa. Yaze yafika yaba khona bayikhiya bayibekela. What's the purpose of it? What is the purpose of it if you must apply and do this and do that to get it? Why can't we click and find who lives next door? They just bought a house. Who are they? Are they clean or whatever? Do they appear here? If we really wanted to deal with this, there's so many ways. It's not reinventing the wheel. I feel like since 2002 when I started my foundation, there have been so many beautiful ideas by various activists in South Africa of all shapes and sizes and colors and whatever. Problem, implementation.
Sure. There's so much in this book, and we needed like a whole 2 days.
Yeah.
10 minutes ago. No. Somebody slow it down.
Oh man.
There's so much here. And then you don't only speak about the sexual violence, the rape that you experience. You speak about your life.
Yeah.
And I'd like for us, just in the remaining time, to speak a bit about the role of your spirituality. Through it all, right? To carry you through.
Yeah.
As you try and understand it, and also understand what you've been brought here to do.
I mean, it's such that's the center, that's the foundation, that's what wakes me up in the morning, even when I feel like I do a thankless job. That's what gets me up. Spiritual health for me is my cornerstone, because it keeps me sane. It keeps me understanding what I am, who I am. But what I love also about myself, I'm a very pliable child. I grow as my spirit grows. I mean, if you read the Bible, there's a scripture that says when you were a baby, you ate soft foods, because you could only, swallow that. But more cooler, now you get to udlipap eliqinile, nesteak eshisiwe, So I've allowed myself to grow in that way. Rigidity and being very orthodox about things, for me, I find defeats the whole purpose. Growth is being fluid. And so my spiritual life has played a tremendous role and keeps doing so, because also just in general, there's the traumas that we all suffered. Everybody's bruised from, their little years. And that's why growing up is then that journey of rebuilding ourselves. But for me, the spiritual life is that thing that you have to plug into. It's that force that you have to plug into that also shows you things about yourself on a day-to-day regular that you didn't know in the relationships, romantic relationships that you have, friendships, and life in general. And it really has been the most empowering part of my life, so that even at my lowest, ngiyazi ukuthi mangahlala ekhoneni lami khanyisela amakhandlela ami amhlophe, and be quiet. All the answers I need are within me. Everything that we rush for, though, is outside of ourselves. That's why we're always in conflict. Yonke into esiyifunayo ingaphakathi, and that's why when you deal with that inner man, that inner girl, that inner child, that, the God in you, when you align with that, then yonke into around you also aligns. And you get to see the tree for the forest. You get to know, okay, masakuso, what must happen. That's why I need to mina, umuntu right now, ongekho spiritually healthy, especially in this environment that we're in. How are you coping? because that's your source, that's your petrol, that's your fuel. And without that, then we'll self-medicate. Satagwa every day, sex useless every day, sabhema every day, silimaza abantu, you know. Mawucanga ukuthi khona abantu abasakhipha imali ekhwameni zabo bayobhadala inyanga ukuthi balimaza abantu. Right now, when the whole world is on its head, there's still people who are so far from themselves who do that. So for me, that plug, whatever it is for you, whether ukuphahlela abadala, whether ukuthandaza uJesu, whether ukuthandaza uAllah, whatever it is, because our little brains, I don't even think, can even fathom the force that creates who we are. But we're busy siyaxwayana nge-religion, nge-race, ngani. I'm better because I'm Christian, you are not because you are this, you know. And it's end times kahle kahle. So lungisa indaba yakho noJesu or whoever okhuluma naye.
I want to talk about so I'll read these two tweets.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll go to this is I'm busy paging frantically here. So 39. Negotiating new love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there we go. Someone here says, you've got my crush, Andile, in studio. Yo, those is my auntie. I will see you. Great conversation there. Sorry for experience. Some amongst us men must do better. And then another says, to read it, hi, Steve, I love that soul you're talking to. Our wives aren't happy, you know. So where do we get the book and how much? And I'll give you those details just now. Mm-hmm. And then there was this chapter where you speak about negotiating new love, the challenges, of course, of trusting.
Yeah.
And then there's this younger man here. Who sweeps you over your feet. You speak to how you attract younger men, and I know Busha is one of those people that I read. Just somebody who's younger than you.
Yeah.
What do you think it is? I didn't even argue. I'm sure many women in that list on that list as well.
Look, I don't know what it is. I can't. I don't know. Because there is a thing about having grown up when you know, South Africa was what it was back then. Seeing that life, and then besukuba khona nama 2000, and then besukuba khona ne social media, the mix that we're in now. And so there's a kind of man that I know I can never be happy with, ne? And mhlambe intanga yami, mhlambe older, I have no idea. Mhlambe uyanga, I just know the things that I don't like, the things that don't resonate with me, and then I know what I like and I know what I feel. So for me, I didn't realize that age was a factor until my grandmother asked me about it once. You know, my husband at the time, kanti unangaki, and I said, waphela insini ugogo wami. Athi umdala kuye. Athi ya, athi ha, you know. And then from that point, I was like, yo. Oh, actually, and then I look back, I realized, okay, Andy. Actually, a lot of the people that I get along with are younger than me. Like my current partner, ngathi sina 100 years, Sazana. You would swear we are married. No, we are not. We are just synchronized in a weird way, a beautifully weird way, you know. And so, again, I don't change myself. I know somebody expects to see me with a politician or a PE, what, or a what. Those things don't interest me for a second, you know. And I like umuntu stimulate higher because there's a lot going on in my head. And so, yeah, that's yeah. So it's a beautiful time. Angis shorties mina again. Angis shorties mina. Me, I want to be happy, genuinely so, eh? If you don't get it, I sorry. As long as me, I'm happy.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Are you happy?
Oh, I am. I'm happy. I stood izolo actually as looking at the stars ngime balcony ebusuku kuyabanda. And I had to raise my hands to just give thanks, because kubi emhlabeni right now, and I'm grateful ukuthi ngisaphila. I'm grateful that I can still do something, for the greater good of humanity. And I'm rising to this call, and it might not sound great to others because we all have our own opinions, but I stand for the things that I believe in, and South Africa is my home, and the way corner, we can't sit down. We've got to spread our happiness, and even guma social media spaces, be sensitive. When it's good for you, it's good for you, but also think about the next person. It just might not be good for them, So we don't rub things in people's faces, but we are there with people, and we get why people are feeling. Nobody doesn't know who's going to land. We get why people are feeling this way. So I'm happy because my bubble is protected, but I'm unhappy because the rest of South Africans are not. And even my happiness, actually, it's because I created. It's not because the circumstances around me are happy. I just refuse to be drawn into this negativity that's going on. There are spaces where I'll do it. Interviews outside, at workshop, at home, it's a whole different place. We all need to be sane. And I feel like more than anything now, we need to be protecting ourselves, and even our bodies, I know nobody's talking about vitamin C, zinc, but those things are important now more than ever. We need to be looking after our bodies,
I have a quick call, Aditi, but that call like literally 5 seconds before the news. So do you mind just staying with us for just 5 more minutes
Sure.
so that we can hear from Mfana? That's all right.
Okay, cool.